Hi, fourth graders. It's Heckman here, and we're going to be reading some more of Why the Sea is Salty. So if you could have your book open to pages 32 through 40, we're going to start in 32. This is called Chapter 7, Ants. The giant was happy. It was good to be able to help the villagers, and all he had to do was stretch out his legs and relax. The giant didn't realize that his large feet were resting on an anthill. Thousands of angry ants stormed out of their home and onto the giant's feet. At first, the giant thought something was tickling him as the ants swarmed over his soles and onto his toes. He wriggled his toes, but it didn't help. Then the ants began to bite. Each bite stung. "Ow!" cried the giant, trying to lie still. "Ow!" He wanted to shake the ants off, but he wasn't able to move because the villagers were walking along his legs. He wanted to scratch the bites. "Could you please hurry?" he asked. "Ants are biting my feet." The villagers did not believe that creatures as small as ants could annoy an enormous giant. But they did as he asked and hurried along his legs to his island. Bravely, the giant sat still until the last villager had climbed off his legs. As the boy led them away to get salt from the cave in the hills, the giant lifted his bare feet from the anthill. Quickly, he bent his knees and shook his feet as hard as he could over the sea. The thousands of ants looked like little seeds as they were flung into the air and then dropped down into the water. The giant looked at his feet. The ants had left bright red marks where they had bitten him. He lowered his big feet into the sea, slowly, gently. He knew if he made waves, they would wash ashore and sweep through the village. Then he rested his feet on the seabed and let the cool water take the sting out of the bites. While he waited for the villagers to return, he ate their gifts of boiled rice and prawns and dried fish. "I must ask them to bring dried squid next time," he thought. He closed his eyes and thought about the cave. This was the first time he hadn't waited outside it to make sure no one was hurt. He hoped there were no salt slides. The giant was asleep with his feet still on the seabed when the villagers returned with their bamboo baskets filled with salt. He woke with a start. "How are the ant bites?" the villagers asked the giant. The giant chuckled. "Well, there are a lot fewer ants on your island now, thanks to me." He laughed. The villagers laughed with him. They liked this enormous man. They wouldn't go back to their island just yet. They'd stay a while and keep him company. Besides, there was no bridge to cross while his feet were soaking in the sea. Chapter 8, Salty Sea. At sunset, the villagers decided to return to their own island. The giant stretched his legs across the sea again. He lifted the villagers and their baskets of salt onto his legs and said goodbye. He was sad to see the people go, especially the boy. He hadn't realized how lonely he was on the island by himself. As the villagers walked back home along his legs, the giant felt something crawl over his feet. At first, he thought he was being tickled, but then he felt a bite, and another. "Oh no," cried the giant, "it's the ants again." Once again, the giant couldn't shake off the ants. Once again, the giant politely asked the villagers to hurry. But this time, the villagers were carrying bamboo baskets full of salt on their heads. It was much harder for them to move quickly. "Faster!" begged the poor giant. "Faster!" He wondered how much longer he would be able to bear the pain of the ants biting his feet. The villagers held on tightly to their baskets and ran along the giant's legs, but they were tired from carrying their heavy loads. They gasped for air and wobbled from side to side. But the giant could not wait for the villagers to get back to their island. With a roar of pain, he lifted his legs into the air. He shook his feet roughly to get rid of the annoying ants. The villagers were taken by surprise. They screamed, dropped their baskets of salt, and let them tumble into the sea. The villagers were thrown into the water. "Save us!" they yelled. When the giant saw what he had done, he was very upset. He had not meant to harm the villagers. He reached across the sea and plucked them out of the water and sat them on his knees to dry, while he soaked his feet in the sea again. The villagers could see their bamboo baskets floating on top of the water below them. They were empty. All the salt they had collected from the giant's cave had spilled into the water. And that is why the sea is salty. Thanks for joining me for the rest of the book. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll see you soon. Bye.